All right, thank you. I'll call the occupancy meeting to order. The reason I called this meeting is, as everyone knows, prior to COVID, we had made quite a bit of progress in regards to looking at a occupancy tax for the county, excluding Hudson at this time. Hudson has already instituted a tax, and we were moving forward. And then, as I said, COVID hit, and we sort of, since March or before March, have not had a meeting regarding this issue. I wanted to have this meeting because I think, for the most part, we're in agreement that we want to move forward with this process, but we just need to start working on a game plan on moving forward. I don't think whatever we do would have to be done in terms of the law in 2021 to take effect in 2022. I don't know. Is that correct, Heidi? You're on mute, Heidi.
Sorry about that. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So I just like to at least get us on a regular schedule again to meet on this so that we can get this process moving. I know Art has some ideas in regard to host compliance or something similar in terms of doing some work for the county as well as the towns.
Oh yeah, my concern, I completely support the idea that the county uses whatever information host compliance or somebody similar can provide to track and collect taxes. I think that's terrific. I think the county also, at the same time it enters into that agreement, should set up an agreement whereby each of the towns can opt into host compliance or whatever service we use to get information about specific properties in our towns that we can use for compliance and control. We've got, I think many of us have laws or will have laws that will require these short-term rental owners to apply for permits and have inspections and basically under the supervision of the building inspector. And all of us will need information about that. And I think rather than have each town negotiate its own specific deal, if the county can negotiate a countywide deal that all towns can opt into, I suspect we'll save a lot of money, and Ron can put in for shared services.
Ron? In terms of what Art was saying and the shared services, is it, first of all, will we contract with the county and let us subcontract with the towns, or will they subcontract with the towns?
I'm going to say yes to that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if we were to get them to give us what the cost would be town by town and compare that to what the cost would be for the county to sign up with access available to all the towns, we would be saving a ton of money as a county, I think.
Okay. Donnell, do you still have host compliance?
No, we stopped in January for a couple of reasons, but I think we were at agreement for $6,000 for the year, which they were willing to negotiate on. But we were trying to come up with our own little regulation that got shot down, with a permitting process and everything. And I wonder would that be sufficient for a municipality if they were entering in with the county to supply, let's say, their database, as opposed to, sharing the cost of host compliance? Or is it something that would, host compliance would be brought into blanket the county, and would the towns opt in or out of host compliance, or opt in or out of the tax payout?
I think it would be host compliance, not the tax payout.
Yeah.
I would, I still, and maybe my vision is wrong, I still envision that each town would do their own compliance using host as a resource. That, you know, the county wouldn't do, wouldn't do that. We don't have the staff, you know, where the towns have code enforcement and building inspectors
Right.
who could take that on. So that's at least the way I would envision it. Art, is that the same vision you
No,
have?
that's the same way I would envision it. And I would think the towns would provide host compliance with all of the information we collect to make sure that the database is as accurate and up to date as possible, because host compliance gets their information from different sources than the town would. We would use their information, they would use ours, there'd be one database, and the county would be in charge of the tax collection process that the towns would presumably benefit from based on their number of short-term rentals. They do it maybe like a mortgage tax or some such thing, but I see that being a county initiative, whereas the compliance and control would be the town responsibility.
Chairman, can I be heard for a moment?
Sure.
There was one issue that seems to have come up more dramatically, let's say, since the onset of COVID, and that is the number of short-term rentals that are actually being used on a more long-term basis. And so many of them have been rented out for 30 days, 3 months at a time. And so one of the questions that occurs to me that I don't know if it's been addressed previously is, to what extent does host compliance distinguish between the individual renters and individual reservations as opposed to the total number of reservations or days rented per month? So I am aware of a number of situations where people who have used Airbnb as a marketing platform are actually not offering short-term rentals per se. And so the question is then, how do you distinguish between the people whose information is gathered who actually are doing short-term rentals and those who are not, if you're using those online platforms as the source of information? And I don't know if anyone has addressed that with host compliance previously.
I don't believe so, but it's something we can address.
Okay.
I think my sense from what host compliance provides is they're using an algorithm to sort of flag potential, like they can sort of flag the properties that seem the most likely not in compliance. But I think the data that they provide the county is not foolproof. So in some ways they could give us this list and say the following people we believe are renting and haven't provided any tax revenue, or provided tax revenue well below the amount that their algorithm thinks they should have paid. And I think there could be some reconciliation process where the county sends out letters to people, hey, we think we've underpaid. And the property owners could then reply and say, well, actually, we haven't underpaid because we were actually doing a long-term rental, or whatever other explanation they have for why they paid the amount. So I think that would sort of be included in that sort of reconciliation.
I mean, this is a fairly new phenomenon in terms of, people moving up to this area to get away from COVID, but okay. I think that's something, Ron, we can look into, and maybe again, I know, we sometimes keep doing the same thing over and over, but maybe we can try to get host compliance back on the next meeting.
Yeah, Samantha White, she's been emailing me quite frequently, awaiting, my come back to her that when is our next meeting. So easily
Okay.
said and done, or easily done. No
Well, again, I want to get us back on a regular schedule, so we'll do it probably, maybe early December, the next meeting.
Once we get a meeting date, I'll give her a call.
Well, we'll set a meeting date prior to getting off this call. Ann, do you have anything?
No, not at this point. Just that I will concur or agree that many of the short-term rentals have gone to long-term. They're over 31 days. So that's a spot-on observation. And obviously, we need to speak with host compliance about they're collecting that data.
Okay. Anything else that we need to talk about? I know this, like I said, I just wanted to get this thing jump started. I didn't really have an agenda.
Matt and Ron, is it appropriate to ask them to give us an updated proposal on providing services, just to remind us what they do?
Yeah, and I want to explore the shared services. You know, we asked them about that a year ago, and they
Yep.
seemed to be, willing to do that. And host compliance, by the way, merged with another company, and I didn't
I think
call
they're
it
called
compliance
this or
anymore.
something.
But we need to ask them that and get a sense of what the savings would be, Art, if the county was to offer that to all the towns.
Right.
Yeah, we need to ask them that too.
Okay, good.
PJ, do you have anything?
No, I was a few minutes late getting on a call. I'm sorry, but Ann had gathered some statistical information as well. Did you share that, Ann?
You mean the dollars?
Yeah.
No, because I didn't see this meeting going in that direction. Chairman, would you like to hear some of the dollars that have been?
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. In August, this is from a company called All the Rooms. In August, now, so this is for the entire county, but they've also given me a dashboard so I can look at 3 areas, zip code 12534, the Hillsdale area, and the Canaan area. So this is just one example. In August, in Hudson, over $1.2 million of market revenue was taken in from Airbnb. From VRBO, it was $189,000. For the entire market in August, for Airbnb, it was $2.7 million, and for VRBO, it was 1.1. So if you subtract, Hudson is tough because it's 12534, which is more than the city of Hudson. But, I played around with it enough, and I think if you take out 38% of the market revenue, so Hudson is removed from the final number, the final total for August of gross revenue was a little more than 2.4 million. And that's pretty consistent throughout the months. So that gives you an idea of the money we're talking about.
Can you share that with this committee?
Certainly, I'll put it in a readable form.
I appreciate it. Any questions?
What would be the tax we would charge? 4%?
Pardon me? 4% is what we were talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Which it seems to be pretty standard in the field.
It is.
Okay. Any questions for Ann on that?
That's like 100,000 at 4%.
Yeah, just 1 month, right?
Yeah. Ron, you're licking your chops, Ron.
Yeah, and that's without Hudson.
Ron salivating.
But again, I think it's an estimate. I came up, again, it's hard to distinct, it's hard to pull out Hudson, and Ann has already said that, and we're taking guesses at it, but I still think it looks at least around 800,000 per year.
Per
Yes.
month or per year?
Year.
For
That's
tax
like
collect, excluding Hudson,
Tax.
for tax collecting, yes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's a good revenue source.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't recall what host compliance annual fee was, but I know it's pretty hefty too. But it's still, it's well worth it.
I think it was around 40,000, wasn't it, Ron, at the time?
Yes.
Yeah, we had 3 nodules or three things that they can provide that we wanted to go with. So I'll have to refresh my. And I do have that dashboard on my computer. If anybody wants to put on a mask and come on in, I can show you exactly what I'm looking at. You're welcome anytime.
And this is like a service that you're paying for, or they offer to you. How did you get this dashboard?
Yeah, I through Nistia. We paid for a year. I spoke to my counterpart up in Warren County, and she really spoke highly of all the rooms, and they're also a member of Nistia. So I've been talking with them, and we signed up with them in August for a year worth of their services. And the dashboard is relatively new, so they continue to tweak that, and I'm staying on top of it. But no, so it paints a fairly decent picture. If it's not 100%, but it's a pretty good snapshot. And then the reports I have, I sent to, I think Ron has them, PJ, the chairman. I can share those, Chairman. Would you like me to share those?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I will. Yeah, I can't share the dashboard. That's the only sticky wicket.
Okay. All righty. So I see this running on 2 tracks. I see the track of the tax, and then I see the track of enforcement. And I think, one doesn't rely on the other. I mean, I think we can move ahead with getting information for the tax. And Heidi, if we could set up a timeline as to when we have to, and I know we talked about this previously, but a timeline of when we have to get our information together to get it to the state to get a tax approved. And then in the meantime, we can work on the compliance end of it. So if everybody's okay with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matt, can we set a date for the next meeting? So I can-
I'm thinking the 7th of December at 2:00.
December 7th at 2.
And I'll send an
just so everyone's
updated timeline.
Matt, you have your
Okay.
Capital Region call at that time or
No,
no?
they don't do Mondays. It's Tuesdays.
Okay. It's in your calendar, so.
They they populate every day, but they don't have the calls. So.
Okay, and I just want to add so everyone's clear on the numbers that I was spewing out there and the numbers you'll be receiving from this report. This is only short-term rentals. This does not include our B&Bs, motels, and so on, inns. This is strictly short-term rental dollars.
Okay. Thanks, Ann.
Did you
Okay.
say 1 or 1:30, Matt?
I said 2:00.
2, okay.
2 p.m.
Seems to be all right with everyone. So Ron, you'll be in touch with host. Okay, and we'll set up a timeline, Heidi. And
Ron, you said $40,000 for the whole county was an initial projection?
that was an initial cost, yeah.
Yeah, that's like 2 years old though.
If I recall, that didn't include the last module of enforcement because, as you said, that was going to be on a more local basis as well.
And if we're gonna expand it out on shared services, it'll probably change, Darnell. Because now they're encompassing the possibility of 18 towns. So.
Well, now they should have newer, cheaper robots to scroll through all this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It should cost you a lot cheaper than 6,000 though.
So I don't have anything else. I just wanted to get this going. We'll meet on the 7th, and we have some assignments to work on, and Ann's going to get us some of her information. So we'll have a lot more to talk about on the 7th.
Okay. Sounds good.
Art, can you give your dog a job to do, or?
She's starting to whine at me, which means she wants to go out.
Get her out.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Art, second.
I'll second.
Supervisor Chimides, All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.